Hello there, I'm Jimmy Vegas and this is how to make an RPG in Unity, and welcome to episode 10. So last time, if you remember, we created this treasure chest right here and we have the top swing on it which open and closes the top of it constantly. So we're going to carry on with this and finish off the quest line this episode, and we don't really want it to constantly open and close, we want it to open on command. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn off the animator or completely remove it, whichever you want. So I'm going to remove component, so right click, remove component, and then add component, and if you type in the search bar anim, you probably already have noticed we have animation. So we're going to use this instead because this allows us to kind of control our animation a little bit more and play it on demand. So the way this is going to work is the treasure chest itself, which is Q01 chest, drag and drop that into non-animation clip, and then on animations click the arrow, and on size change it to 1 and hit enter, and then just drag and drop straight away onto there. And hopefully you'll notice down the bottom you'll have a little warning that says the animation clip used by animation component top swing must be marked as legacy. So we need to mark it as legacy because it won't actually work. The animator can use it just fine, but the animation component can't. So if we click on the animation itself down here, up here in the inspector panel, if we click and go to debug, we can just tick legacy right there and then set ourselves back to normal, and then let's clear out the console. No problems. So that'll work just fine now. So the idea of what we're going to do is we want to come over to the chest and we want to come over, hit our E key, and it'll open up. So the principle of what we're doing is going to be fairly similar to what we did with the quest board. So let's start by going to game object, 3D object, and cube. Now this cube is going to represent the trigger that we can open the treasure chest. So if you bring the cube up into place and have it surrounding the entire treasure chest, so if we get it roughly in the middle, and if we change the scale to about 2, no, it's got to be bigger than 2, hasn't it? Let's try 4. Does that cover it? Okay, so it looks like it's going to be about 3.5 by probably 2 by maybe 3. A bit too big. 2. Okay, so you can see that roughly covers the treasure chest itself. So that's fine. It doesn't matter if it doesn't cover it completely. It's up to you how you want it to look. So what we're going to do is create a script fairly similar to the notice board. So let's go to our scripts folder. And let's go to our quests folder. And how are we going to do this? How in quest 1. So this one was the objective 01. So let's do this as Q001 objective 02. So right click, create C# script. So Q001 objective 02. So open that up in MonoDevelop or Visual Studio. As I say, doesn't matter. It's the exact same script. And as always, if you have any problems with the script as we go along, you can go to the website and download the exact script that I'm going to write now for free. So firstly, what we need to do is, because we're going to be using UI components, it's always handy to put using Unity engine.ui semicolon. And we're going to get rid of void start and the little notes there because we do not need them. So we're going to declare quite a few variables here. So public float, and we're going to have the distance because we need to reference that raycast that we have named as player casting. So the distance semicolon. Next one is going to be the treasure chest itself. So public game object, and let's call it treasure chest semicolon. Next thing, we need our UI display, so we need the action display and the action text. So public game object, and that's action display, and public game object action text semicolon. So now is going to be the objective. So public game object, and just call it the objective. Let's try and keep as uniform as possible because that's what we've called it in other ones, in other scripts as well. And finally, we're going to have an integer to check whether we can close the objective or not. So public int just call it close objective. So first things first, in our update section, we need to make the distance equal to that player casting script. So the distance equals player casting, and remember, if you've called your player casting script something different, then you have to put your name for it right there. And I called it, I think it's distance from target. Let me check. Yes, it's distance from target. Distance from target, semicolon. So once we've got that constantly monitoring how far away we are, I tell you what's probably best is if we start with the on mouse over section. So void on mouse over, open close bracket, open curly bracket. And what we're going to need to do here is we're going to need to check the distance. I think 3 is probably a decent distance. I'm sure we've used 3 before. So if the distance is less than or equal to 3, obviously if you want to be further away you would higher that number, then we perform the following. We want the action text on screen to say open chest. So action text dot get component text, that's capital T, remember guys, open close bracket dot text equals open chest, semicolon. So next thing we need to do is set that action text active. So action text dot set active true. And obviously at the same time we need to be able to tell the player which key we have, so we need that action display set active too. So action display dot set active true. And you probably guessed by now the routine of what we're going to go through is on mouse exit we're going to disable them. So that's all we need in that if statement. So then we need another if statement here to check if we're pressing that E button that we have as the action button. So if, and then we'll do input dot get button down, and we'll have in there, it's called action. And again, if you set it as something else, you call it that. Open curly bracket. And let's do another if statement. So we need to check the distance yet again. So if the distance is less than or equal to 3, same as what we've got here, just to keep everything uniform, then we do the following. And what we're going to do is we're going to disable the box collider of the object this is going to be attached to. This is so as we can't repeat the same process more than once. So as the instant we press the action button, in this case the E key, the box collider disables completely, but the script will still run. So this dot get component, and in spiky brackets, box collider, open close bracket, dot enabled equals false, semicolon. Next thing we want to do is play that animation that we've attached to the chest. So treasure chest dot get component animation in spiky brackets, open close bracket, dot play, and in brackets and quotes we need to put the name of our animation, which if we go to our treasure chest itself, top swing, and it's Q01 chest open. So Q01 chest open, quote, close bracket, semicolon. And now what we'll do is we'll set this close objective to a random number. So close objective, because by default it's going to be 0, equals, let's have it as 3, semicolon. I'll explain this a little more in just a second because we're going to do something else in void update before we finish this script. So once we've done that, we then need to disable our action text, not action display, because we want our UI to disappear off the screen. So action text dot set active false, and action display dot set active false. So that's them two done. And that should be it for that if statement. So we close that if statement. We close the action button if statement. And then we close on mouse over. So we'll have quite a few closed curly brackets. And I'm going to go down a little more again because we're going to put another one just down here. We'll do on mouse exit down here. But before we do that, let's quickly head back to our void update. In fact, let's save that script where it is now. And let's just check we have no errors. Perfect, no errors. So void update, what we need to do is if close objective is equal, and that's double equal to 3, as we will have set once we open our treasure chest, then we need to do the following. And what we're going to do is just basically close it down like we did on the other ones. So when we got to the clearing in the wood, we kind of shrunk our objective. We're going to do the same thing here. First things first, though, what we need to do is we need to we're going to need to check the local scale, aren't we? So let's go to our objective. We should be able to use this right here. So if we go to our Q001 objective 01 script, we can use this here, and we can use this else statement as well. So let's take this just here. I think we can go to that one, yeah. So if we take these lines of code and paste them here, we should be able to see that things are going to be pretty much the same. Because we've named it the objective, which is uniform in both scripts, all these lines of code will work perfectly. So this close objective was something we did in the previous one as well, except we set close objective to 1. And this time we set it to 3 just randomly, because like I say, there could be different variations and different stages of a closed objective, but we'll get to that later on in development anyway. So once we've done that, let's save that script yet again and quickly head to Unity and check we've got no errors down here. Nothing. Lovely. So last thing we're going to need to do is on mouse exit, and it's only a quick one, this. So void on mouse exit, open close bracket, open curly bracket, and what we need to do is action display dot set active false, and you've guessed it, guys, action text false, and then close curly bracket. So we've pretty much written all this script now, but we're going to come back to it a little later on. So let's save that script now and head back to Unity. And what we're going to need to do is add that script to this cube that we have here, which we're going to rename first. So right click, rename, and let's call it Q001O, in fact, underscore O 2 underscore 2. Try and keep it uniform with this, because if I recall correctly, this is our trigger to enter this clearing. Part of our objective, so straight onto there. So we just now have to set these few variables right here. So treasure chest is going to be the top swing, because that references the actual swing motion that we have the animation attached to. Action text and action display. So action text and action character. And the objective is going to be active quest objective 2. There. So final thing to do here is to turn off the mesh renderer, and I'm going to save my scene there, and let's test it. So there's still a few things to do, because we can, as I say, theoretically pick up this quest before we do anything. So we just need to go over here and hopefully... Okay, so I've noticed the chest is open right now. So go to top swing and untick play automatically. I'm guessing that's what's caused that. Okay, so now let's test this process perfectly up to now. So let's take our quest. And yes, let's accept that quest. So let's head over here. And this time our chest is closed. Excellent. So we've reached the clearing. Let's open our treasure chest. There we go. So we can see that we can kind of walk through this treasure chest. But I wouldn't worry about that too much because that is going to be sorted in just a second. Because what we're going to do now is we're going to bring our sword into play here. And what I think I might do is I've noticed on the first person controller, I'm not too sure about the height at which the controller actually is. So I'm going to raise the camera on the first person character up just a little bit to about there to give us a kind of taller feeling, just so it gives the opportunity to look into the treasure chest. So the way this is going to work is we're going to bring in a sword now. So go to our objects folder, which is here, and drag and drop this sword folder, which you can get on the website. Head over there, downloads and assets, and download it there, or maybe head to the Unity store. This is from the Unity store itself, so it's obviously credit goes to the guy that made this. You should be able to find it in the Unity store if you just search for Elven Sword. I'm just doing it this way to make things quicker and easier. So the sword itself, what we're going to do is let's place it in the treasure chest. So let's head back over to the treasure chest. And we just need to look inside as we are now and drag and drop the sword, and let's place it so as it's lying down on the floor. So we just need to change the rotation. So let's change it to 90 and let's flip it. So let's have it about there. Should we increase the size as well? I think we'll increase the size. Let's have it as 1.5 by 1.5 by 1.5. Just make sure it doesn't stick out. It does stick out the edge a little. So let's move it inward. Okay. That looks pretty decent now. So I'm happy with that. So theoretically now, when we open the treasure chest, we'll see that sword. So we need to create another box object to pick up that sword. So the way this is now going to work is fairly similar yet again to how we've previously done it. So we're going to kind of cheat maybe just a little bit and copy the script that we've already done. So what we'll do is we'll duplicate this object here that we've created around the treasure chest. So Control D to duplicate, and let's change it to 3_3. We'll remove this quest objective 2, and I'm going to disable it, and I'm going to shrink it ever so slightly. So I'm going to have it as about, in fact, I'll turn the mesh renderer on and reactivate it so we can see how it's going to look. So I'm going to have about 3 on there. Let's shrink it inwards a little, so we'll have 1.8 maybe. About there. Okay, that looks fine. So it's shrunk just a little bit. And let's turn, excuse me, mesh render off and turn the object off again, because what we're going to do here is we're going to activate that object once we open up the treasure chest. So if we go back to our main script that we wrote, and what we're going to need to do is add in a new variable up here. So public game object, and let's just call it take sword. Semicolon, and we need to place this particular line of code in just below here. After we've played the animation, we need to activate that take sword object. So take sword dot set active true semicolon and save. So the idea of what we're doing here is once we've opened it, saw an error pop up then. Oh, that's fine. So yeah, once we've opened the treasure chest, we need this object to appear. So we just drag and drop that into take sword. So then obviously the box collider on this object disappears and this object will appear so we can take the sword itself. So before we do that, let's add the sword to our character. So drag and drop the elven sword onto our first person character, not the first person controller. It has to be the first person character. So drag and drop. Double click so we can see it, and then we just need to get it into position. So if we look at our character on the camera preview, you can see we are looking towards the water over here. So we need to bring our sword out this way. Let's bring it this way a little, And let's change the rotation so it looks a little bit more like he's holding it. So change on the X, and let's change on the Y. About there. And let's go to first person character. Okay, so yep, we just need to pull outwards a little more and pull it downwards to about there. Okay, so we can see you can get eyes and get it kind of in the right position. I'm just doing this now and leaving it there to be as quick as possible. I'm just going to pull it down just a little more to about there. And then I'm going to disable it. So now, once we've got that done, what we need to do is write another script, as I say, based on the one we've done earlier. So if we go to our quests folder here, go on the quest script we've just written, hold Control, press D to duplicate, because we're going to kind of cheat a little bit. I'm going to read it. Oh, it's already renamed for us, as we can see. Q001 objective 03.cs. We need to open it up. And just make sure you are in the right script. I'm going to close Objective 2 now because we don't need that. Same with Objective 1. We just need to change the public class name up here to match our file name and save. So we're obviously going to have the distance again. Our first game object is going to be the fake sword, which is the sword in the treasure chest, because that one's going to disappear. And then the next one is going to be the real sword. So the sword we have in our hand. Then obviously we need the action text, and we're going to need an extra one here. So public game object, and that's going to be action display semicolon. Objective, yep, we need that again. Close objective, yep, and we can get rid of that take sword. So now we have our variable sorted right here. So the distance, play casting, keep that. Close objective, yep, we'll keep that. We'll keep all of that. So on mouse over, we need to check yet again if we are 3 away, which we are. So we need the action text to then say, take sword. And yep, that needs to stay the same. That needs to stay the same. And obviously the next bit would need to stay the same, so we need to check if we're pressing the action button. We need to check if the distance is less than or equal to 3. We need to turn the box collider off on the treasure, on the object this is attached to. And next thing we're going to need to do is we don't need to play an animation, so we can get rid of that line. It should be highlighted red. But what we do need to do is we need to make the fake sword disappear and the real sword reappear. So fake sword dot set active false semicolon, and where we've got take sword, let's rename that to real sword dot set active equals true. Close objective equals 3, and then we can turn off our 2 active our displays for the UI. And the on mouse exit is going to be the same. So let's save that script. And as you can probably see by now, the script itself is, we've hardly done any changes to this at all. So it's always best now to maybe use this as a template to our completing an objective on any quest. Because instead of writing all this out again, we've literally just copied, pasted, and changed a couple of things. And that's the best way to do it most of the time. So once we've done that, if we head back to Unity, hopefully the error is clear. Let's check our console, click clear. Let's go back to this object over here. And what we need to do is drag and drop that quest objective 3 onto there. And yet again, all we need to do is quickly add in each and every variable. So Elven Sword 01 is the fake sword. The real sword is the one that we've disabled and attached to ourselves. Obviously, action character is the display. Action text is action text. And the objective is objective 3. So now we can save. And we should be able to almost complete this, because the next episode we need to kind of hand this quest in. So let's go to our notice board. E to read. Accept. And then all the way over here, into the clearing. And now open the chest. And you can see straight away it says take sword. And you'll notice now at this point we can't actually walk through the treasure chest. So let's take the sword. You can see it's in our hand. However, we now can walk through the treasure chest, but we can always get around that once again by taking this object here, hold control, press D, and let's just call it chest block. Take off the script because we don't actually need that, and let's add in one final variable to the objective 3. Public game object, yeah, you know, chest block, and we just need to set it active after we've taken the sword, just down here, and save that script and just add in the variable to number 3, which is right there. Okay, so we've got to pretty much the end of this quest line now. We've got ourselves going, we've got a sword. Next episode, what we're going to do is we're going to animate our weapon and attack on command. And we're going to hand in this quest to perhaps an NPC and collect a reward. So we'll be going from there and then into further episodes, and we'll be really getting into development from there on in. So guys, until that next episode, thank you very much for watching.